Kim White with the My Sexy Business team. I'm here with my co-host,
Coni Meyers with Kick Butt Leadership.
and we're at the Hope to Hope Conference, July 2018. It's amazing what can happen in a short while when you're doing something crazy awesome to serve people. This conference has been absolutely amazing every time we've done it, and this time is no exception. We just finished up with Young Pratt, and
Wow.
wowie. Yeah, she gave several things that were pretty incredible. But I have to dismiss or fire my co-host for a minute. She's like fired from her position only because she's actually the one I'm going to interview for this next session. Miss Coni has been with me from the beginning of the conference. She has been a part of every one of them. She's participated, whether behind the scenes or in front of the camera. She has been with me on this wild ride of this conference. So it's been very, very exciting and very encouraging to have the support of her and others that have helped, to make this such a great success. But I want to tell you about Miss Coni, and I want to just take a minute to fire her. She's not the co-host anymore.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
But she got a hold of a concept, and I will just say it's a concept called crystalline moments. Way back, and she can tell you her story better than I can, but I just want to give you a little bit of understanding of the backstory of why it's important to me for her to be on this conference. And she learned that in those moments, there was always a gift and an opportunity. There was always something that, even in the, bad things that happened, there was always some kind of a gift in it, and that we could miss that if we weren't paying attention. And she's told many stories on all of the Hope Topes about different ones. And today she's going to share something that's completely different than what she's ever shared before, which makes me excited because I am privy to a lot of the things, with her. I would like to really have her be able to tell you a million stories because she's got a million stories. But she actually founded a movement called the Crystalline Moment Success Movement. She has a publishing company. She has 4 bestsellers of her own that has nothing to do with her publishing company. She has done all of these amazing things, and then she realized that part of her destiny was leadership. She's a great leader. She's actually taken a company that didn't exist before in the real estate market, which is pretty wild because now everybody knows that that's required. And she took it, and not only did she found it, she took it to every state in the U.S. So I mean, it's a really big deal. Don't be deceived by this little white-headed grandma. Don't be deceived by, her and her headed to 70 that she's doing right now on her page. But be aware of the wisdom that she has to offer and follow her and listen to that wisdom. But she's going to share something today that I'm really excited because this conference is about places that we've been that were hard and how we got through them and how we can, share that hope and create a contagiousness of hope instead of, being sad. And instead of, being distraught about something that's bad, we can actually join together and realize that there are good things that come out of bad things. So anyway, without further ado, and I want to point out, we have Rufus with us for the first time, and he may be vocal a little bit. Miss Coni, he thinks Miss Coni is his too. So he may not want to share her, but so he may pop in and out, we'll just say.
He's such a cutie pie. It's okay.
But Miss Coni, first off, thank you for coming to co-host. I'm just playing about the firing you, but I am grateful that you are willing to share your stories because we need that. We need to hear how someone has overcome or gone through something and made it, because it gets really bleak sometimes when you don't have someone sharing. And
True.
I love the story you're going to tell. So
Okay. Well, actually, crystalline moments would not have ever happened. I should start with crystalline means sparkly or clear. So crystalline moments are moments of clarity. And I won't go into the details, but my husband passed away about 7 years ago. And after he passed, I thought the best thing for me to do was to jump right back into work. I was a principal in a company, and I said, okay, I'm going to jump right back into it. And about 2 months into jumping back into work, and let me preface this by saying, my old life, I was a workaholic. I worked 60, 70, 80 hours a week. If I didn't have something else to do, I worked. And so the most logical thing for me to do was to jump right back into working. And so I did that. And when I did, it was like I would call up my partners, I'd call up clients, and it was like I was having this out of body experience. The conversation was all over here, and I'm over here trying to participate, and it wasn't working. And what I discovered was the old life that I knew was gone. And fortunately, I didn't know Kim at the time, but I had a lot of really wonderful people surrounding me and supporting me at the time. And I'm so very grateful for all of them. Mm-hmm. But I had to figure out what was next. And while I was figuring that out, the company that I was part of was in Oregon, and I had to make the decision of where I was going to live. We had a home in Oregon and a home in Vegas. And I made the decision that I was going to stay in Vegas because that's where my husband and I had shared the last part of his life. So I called up the company and said, I am going to be staying in Vegas. And they weren't happy about that. So they laid me off. And when they laid me off, I went, oh, okay. Actually, I was getting ready to take my little dog, Missy, for a walk. And it was crazy because that 2 months while I was trying to go back to work and I was trying to get myself back into the routine, and I was really fighting it because I could not understand why this wasn't the perfect answer, because it had always been the perfect answer before. And yet when the call came and they laid me off, I had to hang up the phone quickly because I was giddy. And you're probably thinking, why in the world would she be giddy about getting that phone call? Well, I didn't understand it at the time. But what I did realize after I thought about it for a little bit is that the old life I had known was gone. And I needed to find a new life. So I had to find a way of moving forward. And when that happens, when you have those crystalline moments like of my husband passing, there's usually a lot of chaos and a lot of stuff that goes on, and
Definitely.
Yeah, you're in the middle of this stuff and you're trying to find your way. And one of the things that I realized was that I had to move away from my old life, which included a home in Oregon, included, unfortunately, my husband. It included the partnership that I had. I had to move beyond. And my old life philosophy of work, play, work, play, had to become a new life philosophy. And with the help of my family, I came up with have fun, give back, make money, in that order. And that was the moment, that crystalline moment, when things started happening. And I always tell people, when things are going on and you are not living the life you're supposed to be living, and you figure out what that new life is and what your purpose is, then you can all of a sudden start stepping into a life and things show up. That's what happened with Kim. She showed up in my life. Do you mind if I tell the story?
I think it's hysterical.
So I signed up to go to hear Brendan Burchard speak. And you know, I'd already gone through all kinds of training and life coach training and that, and I'd heard all these other wonderful speakers and Tony Robbins and Mary Morrissey and who's my mentor. And after I signed up for it, I was like, oh God. I'd already met Brendan because he was good friends with Mary Morrissey's son. And I already knew what he was going to say. He was just going to say it in a different way. And so I'm headed to the Brendan Burchard meeting, and he had a real catcher. You know, you paid $100, and if you went, you got your $100 back. If you didn't go, it cost you $500. So I wasn't going to lose out on my $500. So I was going, and the whole time I'm there, I'm just like, oh God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And I get there, and I have to share a room with two ladies I do not know. Which, first of all, I wasn't real particularly happy about in the first place. But I get there, and about, I think it was like maybe a couple hours into it, I realized I wasn't there to see Brenda Burchard. I was there to meet Kim White. And this was, what, 3 years ago now? Has it been 3? No, it's probably been a little over 3 years. 4 years.
4 years.
4 years. And that's a true crystalline moment. And it's a crystalline moment when people start showing up in your life that all of a sudden things are right. And so for me, my life has become something that I'm truly passionate about. And I love being able to share with people. I think one of the most important things I learned was to stop and breathe. And if you're in the middle of something, whether it's an illness, whether it's a death, whether it's losing a job, whether it's losing a house, whatever it is, the one real secret that I've learned is to just take a moment and breathe, and then think about what the opportunity is, because there always is one. And for me, when I was fortunate enough to get to come to the first Hope to Hope, it was truly an eye-opener for me. I've always been a giver anyway. And to watch Kim give in that first one, and then just for it to grow and grow and grow, that feeds my soul. And I think that's part of what change is really all about, is finding something that feeds your soul and makes you want to move forward and find things. And so the happiest day, even though didn't know it at the time, was the day I got laid off. And so if you're in the middle of something right now, I am proof positive. I am living my life with my purpose. And I'm living my life with being able to share with people how to do that. I think that's the biggest blessing that has come out of my husband passing. I always tell people, if my husband hadn't passed, and believe me, I would take him back in a heartbeat if I could, just like your son, I would do it in a heartbeat, but I can't. And so therefore, I am living my life that I was put on this earth to live. And if you are feeling like there is something out there, something going on in your life, I want you to think of it as a crystalline moment. And crystalline moments always have some kind of gift or opportunity. And it's just there waiting for you to have it happen. So if you've gotten laid off, guess what? So what are the opportunities when you get laid off from a job? First of all, you get to have a new job, and you get to pick what that is. You also have the opportunity to learn new things, meet new people, maybe create your own life, which is what I have done. And she mentioned, I have this thing I'm doing on Saturday mornings called Headed to 70, because in now 12 weeks or 11 and a half weeks, I'll be 70. And I consider it such a blessing that we all have a way of turning things around, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it. So if there's anything in your life going on, look at the crystalline moment. What is the gift? What is the opportunity? And believe you me, if you look for it, it will be there, you know?
And I think it's a really good point that it doesn't feel that way at the time.
No.
Like it doesn't feel like there's a gift or an opportunity in the moment that something takes you by surprise. And I think that's the thing, is it kind of takes you by surprise because in your mind you have it all worked out, what it's going to look like and how it's going to work. And
Right.
I think that's true of a lot of business owners.
Absolutely.
Is we think that it should be this something that goes ABC, and then we get what it is we want, and it does not work that way.
It doesn't. I think that's what. Yeah, when I first started, first of all, if somebody would have said I was going to write a book, I would have said they were crazy because I didn't think I could write a decent email, much less a book. And now I've got 4 of them, and I'm writing 3 more on leadership right now. If somebody would have said to me that I was going to be a life coach and then a business coach, I would have said they are crazy. As a matter of fact, when I picked up the phone to inquire about the life coaching, while I'm dialing the number, I'm going, what do I know about being a life coach? Well, I had spent 35 years helping other businesses and individuals in their sales and marketing. I had been coaching all along. I just didn't call it that. And then when it came time for leadership, that just kind of happened because I was leaving myself open. So your road, you may think you're going down this one path. It's taken me 7 years to truly figure out what it is that I really want to do with this new life. And believe you, the whole thing has been an incredible path, an incredible journey. I always tell people it's not about the destination. It's about the journey and how you get there. And Kim and so many other people in my life they've showed up because I'm open. I'm open to allowing what is supposed to happen. I try to stay in the present moment. I try not to think about the future because Lord only knows where it's going to go,
But at the same time, and maybe this is a good place to clarify that, because being in the moment and having a vision are not mutually exclusive.
No, absolutely
they are
not.
Actually tied together.
Yes.
But you have to understand how that works.
Right. Well, yeah, if you I'm all about visioning. I truly understand the power now of visioning, and I have a vision for 3 years from now. I have a vision for a year from now. I have a vision for next week, and every morning I wake up and I first, there's 4 things that I do. I wake up, I take 5 minutes to breathe, to pray, to meditate. I take 3 things I'm grateful for in my life. This morning it was Rufus and Kim were 2 of them, and the Hope to Hope conference. And then I think about some kind of a success I had the day before, because when you think about something and they don't have to be big successes. They could be a little tiny success. Like yesterday, she and I went to Trader Joe's and we picked up some fun snacks and stuff. So yesterday was like a nice trip to Trader Joe's.
But our success was we got back.
Yeah, true. That was an adventure, let's just say. And then we
only had to do
two turnarounds.
Yeah, we only had
to
change our
no big deal. And then I always think about, okay, what do I want the end of the day to look like? And for today, what I wanted was a lot of sharing and a lot of giving. And I can tell you that every one of these that Kim has done has gotten better and better. And so that's what I want for today. I want people to feel like they have received a lot of love from a lot of people. And
I want to clarify too, we're not saying that the people are better on this one than the last one.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all. No.
I think we have gotten better at actually doing this and making it like more professional. Maybe that's the way to say it.
Yeah, maybe yes, thank you for clarifying that. Because every time the people have been absolutely amazing. We always, oh my God, every day it's like, oh my good, look what we learned from this person.
Yeah.
And so it's not the people we have on. It's us.
Yes.
And
Cheryl has joined us. Cheryl, thank you for being on with us. Cheryl also understands losing her husband. I think it's 41 years was how long they were married. And I think if I remember right, Cheryl, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 2.5 years ago that she went through that herself. And so she's not where you are 7 years down the
No.
path, but she's trying to figure that all out now.
Well, she's saying, yes, it's about the journey. As long as we all are on this earth, it's always about the journey. You're absolutely right, Cheryl. And I think that's why it's really important to try and stay in the present moment as much as you can. I mean, you have to have the vision, but if you stay in the present moment and you allow God to bring you that vision, then you are manifesting or attracting the things in your life that are going to create that vision.
And not just like things, but like resources and people.
Oh, yes.
And like all kinds of things that you just don't imagine at the time. I want to like say that out loud for her.
Absolutely. You just never know where something's going to come from. And I can give you a really good example of that. When I was writing my book, Crystalline Moments, I was all finished with the book, and I was finishing up it's called Life Mastery Consulting certification. And it was the very last day we were going to graduate. And it was lunchtime, and I'm sitting at this table, and there were a bunch of round tables, but there was lots of seats. But there was one empty seat at my table. And I'm talking to this other lady, and this woman walks up and says, "Do you mind if I join you?" And I said, "Not at all." So she sits down, and I'm finishing telling this other lady how I'm really excited. It's my first book. And I get finished, and this gal says, "So you're writing a book?" And I said, "Yes, it's finished." I said, I'm hoping I'll be able to publish it by the holidays." And she says, "So what's your demographic? And what's your cover? And what about the back cover?" And she starts asking me these technical questions. And I'm like, "Okay, who are you?"
Yes.
I'm at a life, it was for life coach training and consultant. And I'm like, what does this all have to do with what she's asking me? Anyway, so she shows me her name tag, and she says, "You can Google me." And I said, okay. So as soon as we graduated, I went out to have a glass of wine to celebrate, and I Googled her. And it turned out she had just left, but she was a senior vice president for Sony Pictures, and she was in charge. Her team was in charge of business development. So their responsibility was making sure, whether it was a movie or a video or whatever Sony had, a TV show, that all of the pieces were in tune with whatever the demographic was. And she had given me, she says, "Call me. I'd love to read your transcript." So I, of course, called her. And she says, I sent her the transcript, and she read the book, and she called me like 6:00 in the morning. She called me, and she's on the West Coast. She's not even on the East Coast. And she says, "You had me in tears." But I went, uh-oh. She says, "Your introduction and your first chapter, where I was talking about my husband's passing, you did not write from your heart. You wrote from your head." Mm-hmm. Now, this is a woman I didn't know from Adam. Mm-hmm. And she came and she helped me. She came to my house, sat in my bedroom, and helped me rewrite the intro and my story. And that's why it's being read all over the world now because of it. And it's helping. It's all about having hope and how to create opportunities out of those crystalline moments. And it wouldn't be there if it hadn't been for this person that just walked into my life. And since then, I could write a whole book about those kinds of things. So just know that when you're in that place, you can and will have people step into your life. If you're just open and you have a vision you may not have a vision of what the ultimate end result is. Like my first vision was, I want to write a book. It'd be nice if it was a best-selling book. And that was about it. And so now it's your vision is it's organic, and because of that, I love my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm very appreciative.
Sexy life.
My very sexy life. Yes. A sexy life. Well, I have a sexy business, so I can have a sexy life.
Absolutely. And I want to say there's a quote, and I have no idea who said it, but that says, "When the student is ready, the teacher will appear." And I think that particular woman taught you so many things that were not just about the book.
No.
Like she taught you things that were on a much deeper level than just writing a chapter in a book. And I think that's important to note too, is that if we're paying attention and we're ready, then those kind of people will show up in our life. And if they're not showing up in your life, you have to check yourself. Are you showing up? Because
That's
if you're not showing up for your life, they can't show up. You have to
Exactly.
be in position for them to show up. I mean, I think of, and I get tickled at you telling the story about going, us meeting in San Diego. But the truth was, what if you hadn't come? What if you hadn't come, and what if you had?
Exactly.
It,
I would have missed out. I would have missed out on Kim, and I love her to death. I would have missed out on the things that I've learned from her. I would have missed out on Hope to Hope. I mean, all of that has become such an important part of my life. I would not miss Hope to Hope. I would have to be very sick. And I might even show up then and just, try not to get close to her, even though, look at this,
I know we're about sitting on each other's laps because of the way that the laptop has to be so that we can be on the screen together. So we really are close friends, but I'm just saying this is like just a
cozy.
It's cozy. It's very cozy. Hey, Samantha. I'm so glad that you're here with us too. And I just want to say that on your side of things, you would have missed out on Hope to Hope, and you would have missed out on things. But you have to remember, on the other side of things too, we would have missed out on you. Like, we would have had a hole in our space because you didn't show up on that side.
Right.
And so it's not just, sometimes we have to remember there are people waiting for us.
Absolutely.
And we have to show up for them. And a lot of times we have to get over ourselves to get there, because like your want to was broken that day. You did not want to go to that conference.
No.
But because you showed up, that's only one of the many things that happened at that.
Oh yeah.
That week.
Yeah. That was an incredible week all the way around.
But I look at that and I think, how many of us would have been less because you didn't show up in our lives? So I mean, that's the other side of it too, is you are grateful for one side, but we're grateful for the other side.
That's absolutely important
that you showed up, because I mean, Hope to Hope needed you. We needed you to bring your stories so that people could hear them. Cheryl needed you today. I mean, I think as much as I want to be there for Cheryl, I haven't lost my husband. And so I can't say the same things or understand the same things that you can. And the same thing goes for like the loss of my son, or whatever it is. We can be is it empathetic?
Empathetic. Uh-huh.
We can be empathetic with each other, but when someone's walked where you're walking, it really does make a big difference. So we need everyone for this conference.
Well, I think that's one of the powers of the conference, because like everybody brings their story and they all bring it in a different way, that there's somebody out there that needs to hear that story. Mm-hmm. And what I that's one of the things I truly love about it, is we all have our story. We all have something we can share, but also what a gift. First of all, what a gift to someone that is able to say, I can really relate to that. I can, and I being able to hear the words and then really take it to heart is huge. It's like when they laid me off, I thought, oh boy, now what? I had just lost my husband, and now I had decided I was going to stay in Vegas, and I thought that was crazy. I had to give up my dream home in Oregon. I had to give up 90% of my possessions, and now I've given up my job. And I didn't really give it up, but it went away. But it all turned out that it was absolutely on purpose, with a reason. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the biggest lesson that I have ever learned, is to trust. To trust two things: trust and breathe. breathe. Whenever something is going on, 2 or 3 deep breaths and think of the opportunity, if at all possible. If at all possible.
Unless she's talking to me, and then it's breathe, and don't forget, if you cry, your mascara is going to run. That's what she tells me when she talks to me.
Don't cry.
I am very blessed that you are like participating as a co-host, but I'm also very blessed that you agreed to do this interview. And Cheryl, I am so glad that you're here today with us, so that she said in the comments that she needed this today. I am so glad that you are here and are able to have conversations with Miss Connie. And, I think of Ada Bacone.
Oh, yes.
And I think of some of the other ladies that understand what both of you have gone through. And this is what this conference is for, is to connect people so that they are not alone anymore. They're not alone in whatever they're going through. And so I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that that you are here with me today, and I'm grateful for everyone watching. Thank you all for watching.
Oh, Cheryl has a comment here. Hey, Kim, I have a solution for runny mascara.
So does Miss Connie. She tells me not to cry. Well, thank you, Cheryl, for being with us, and Samantha. And I appreciate everyone watching. I appreciate the people that are watching the replay. If you're watching on replay, be sure and put #replay so that we know that you have been here. Tell us what you would like to see on Hope to Hope, because we are doing our best to, answer any of those kind of heart cries. If you have something, I'm sure we know someone that's going through whatever it is and can help you through. So anyway, I appreciate you all watching. And who are you?
I don't know. I'm Coni Meyers with Kick Butt Leadership.
And I'm Kim White with the My Sexy Business team. We will be back at 1:30 Central Standard Time with the famous Lisa Chastain.
This is going to be good.
Who is in O Magazine this month. So you don't want to miss out on her. And she's a hot mess.
She is a hot mess.
So we can't wait for her to come on with us.
The name of her book is Girls, Get Your Shit Together. Excuse my French. But that just kind of gives you an idea of what kind of gal she is.
She's a mess. So we'll see you guys at 1:30.